Hey everybody, back again with some more Token Terrors goodness to share with y'all. We're going to dive into the solo mini games. I've been calling them mini games because there's not a ton of solo games that exist out there that have miniatures. And they also, a lot of solo games usually run over a half an hour, 40 minutes, or even more than that. These guys all clock in at under 30 minutes at most of them closer to 15 or 20, and they have their own miniatures, which is crazy. So before we actually get into the contents of the solo mini games themselves, let me just show you our nifty little display case. So it kind of looks like a castle. You have the soldiers and the flying machines up here, sort of keeping an eye on things. And as you go around to the side, you'll see there's an elf about to get attacked by some zombies and a wyvern just kind of laughing about it, I think. On the back, you have the name of our brand, our Token Terrors here, but we have Dozen the Docent, who is a character that you'll see reoccur throughout the comic book and the rule book, who sort of walks you through things and is your guide throughout the world of Token Terrors. You have a treasure chest and some creepy eyeballs and this little tree stump here. And then on the other side, there's wyverns and goblins about to throw down with an elf sort of running away because this just looks like a little too much for him. So if you're a retailer and you get an 18 count box of these will sit right on the countertop. The MSRP, or what we charged our backers during the campaign, was $10, and that was when these boxes were only going to be 6 miniatures. So I think with a mini game, we're maybe going to ask for 12 or 13, something like that. I actually am very interested in speaking to retailers about what they think is appropriate. I think $13 for a solo mini game and 6 awesome dice-sized miniatures that multifunction as, MTG token creatures and minions for D&D, and whatever else your imagination can come up with is a killer value. So, all right, so let's start digging into each of these solo mini games. On our last set of videos, we covered the soldiers, so I'm going to do those last and actually talk about some of the mechanics a little bit more. For the first one, because it has some of my favorite components, we're going to go with the zombies. So we're going to crack this open, and these games I've actually been playtesting, so they're not in their punch board still. I don't want to make a big mess by doing the punch board stuff, and I want to keep a couple copies intact because I want to send those to the designers. So each of these were made by a different indie game designer that I have met through my online interactions, being a game designer myself and being an independent publisher. Absolute dream working with these guys. The first designer who we're going to talk about is Floyd Lu, who actually has a couple self-published games. He did a campaign recently that did very well, and the game that he made for us is called Rotten Rampage. So in Rotten Rampage, you are a singular zombie who just wants some friends. You want to make more zombies, and you shamble into a village full of really on-edge villagers who are like being really mean and trying to chop your head off and destroy your brain because you're an undead ghoul. So this game comes with a series of cards that make up your game board. This dice actually doesn't come with the game. We're changing the size of the dice to an 8mm. When I told Gameland that we wanted a really small dice to save on space, this is the die that they gave us. I don't know if you can even see this. It is literally the smallest 6-sided die I have ever seen. I'm almost impressed by how small it is, but we can't use it. Like, it's so small that it'll get lost. I had been doing rolls inside of the little dome top here. But okay. And we covered this in the last video, but you can see like there's a terrain art of like a cliff with a graveyard and some bones laying around that goes under the bubble. When you flip it over, you have this cool little scene of villagers with alchemic potions and swords and axes and crossbows and sticks. All of these things play into what mechanically actually happens in the game for Rotten Rampage. So you set up the board, which is going to be, these are double-sided, so you have 2 different configurations, and you can mix and match these to get different kinds of challenges and layouts. And then you have your player reference card, which actually cycles between 2 phases. You have the villager phase and the zombie phase, and the game starts with the zombie phase. Then we're going to set these over here. All of your zombies can go up top, and we'll just stand them up so they look real cool. But you're going to start with 1, and you have your villager tiles. So we'll set up the villagers first. They actually enter on all of the alchemy spaces, and you'll notice that these guys are double-sided. On one side, they have 3 numbers on the bottom, which corresponds to when they attack, when a zombie and a villager shares a space, when you roll the d6, if one of those numbers is the outcome, that villager deals damage to your zombie. And I'll explain how the zombies take damage in a minute. It's easily the coolest mechanic in this game, and maybe like one of the more inventive mechanics throughout all of these mini games. When they land on a grab symbol, though, you flip them over to their armed or weaponed side. So this guy has a knife. But the villagers initially start in the town square on top of each of the alchemy spaces, and they are unarmed. So here we go, and then the last zombie will enter on that last, or your first zombie, the zombie you're going to be playing as, is going to enter on that last alchemy space. Then you're going to set up, this is my favorite part, the rot tracker. So this, we went through a lot of development with all these games, and figuring out how this game was going to work took a little bit of TLC. But one of the first things that Floyd brought to the table with his design was this idea for a damage tracker that was different body parts of a zombie. And I just thought this was the coolest thing. It looks really neat. And the way that it works is like, okay, so if I share a space with this 3, 4, 5 unarmed villager here, and I roll a 3, I have to remove a limb with the corresponding value. If that limb is not there, I'm saved for the moment. But at the time, I'm still, walking around with only one arm or maybe one leg. Even more interesting is that this isn't just a way to track damage. You are limited in what actions you can complete as a zombie during the zombie phase based on what parts of your body still are intact. So if you don't have a head, you can't bite villagers and infect them. If you don't have an arm, what happens when you don't have an arm? I can't remember. Got both arms or one or more legs, you may replace infect with another move. So yeah, you have 2 actions as a zombie. You can move and infect. But you can only move up to the number of legs you have intact. So if you only have 1 leg, you can only move once. And you can always land. If you move onto an alchemy space, you can regenerate parts. So each of these spaces sort of corresponds to a different action that you can complete on the various phases. So when you bite stuff, you'll also have this infect token. The full color side means success. It's a 50-50 shot. It's just a coin. The black and white side means failure. No good. You do not bite the villager. But if you are able to successfully bite a villager and infect them, there isn't any damage track. You immediately just kill them, and then you replace them with a zombie on the board. So we're just going to go through each phase once, and so you guys can kind of see how Rotten Rampage works. So on the first turn, you do actually, you start with the villager phase. And the villagers have these cards, these villager action cards. And this one with the sword on, it's actually going to be removed. The rules have been updated. But you're going to shuffle these, and moving from top to bottom, left to right, you will assign these actions to each of your villagers. Now, the thing that's really frustrating is that every time you land a villager onto an alchemy space, you place one of the used villager action cards back into the draw pile. So depending on how the AI works, the villager turns can take a longer amount of time. So I'll flip over this one, and this first guy is going to move to the left. Now he can't, but they loop around because villagers are smart. So he's going to come around here and land on the grab space, which makes it so he flips over to, when you land on grab, they immediately get armed. So this guy now has a knife. Then I'll flip another card. So this villager is going to make a ranged attack at my zombie. Her numbers are 3, 4, 6, which means that's a miss. Great, I love that. Then this villager is going to move down and land on a noise space, which is going to make my zombie move 1 space towards that villager. Okay, we have the bloodhound, which makes it so the villager moves towards a zombie. So this guy's going to move up, and when he lands on a noise, my zombie moves 1 space closer to him. So they're closing in on me now. This villager is going to move to the right, and he can't occupy the space, so he's going to skip over and land on this alchemy space, which is going to take one of these cards and put it back into the draw pile, which I don't like at all. Then I'll draw another one. This villager is going to move up and becomes armed. And then last card, this villager moves down and also becomes armed. So you can see that first villager phase was pretty unforgiving. On my turn, I'm fully equipped here. I got all my movement. I got all my abilities. So we'll flip over to the zombie phase, and we'll just shuffle these cards really quick before we get to the next villager phase and set them aside. Okay, I can discard any zombie part to regenerate another part. I don't need to do that because I'm at full health. Then I can move a zombie 1 space for each leg. So this singular zombie will get 2 movement, and I have to occupy a space of a villager to infect. So I will move. Oh, and also if your torso is intact, I can mix up the order in which I do things. Otherwise, I have to do my move actions first and then do the infect action. So I'm fully intact, so I can move and infect. So I'm going to move once and try to infect this villager. I miss. And then I will... I can't move to noise, which would discard one of the villager action cards, which would be awesome. I'm going to move back up to grab and disarm this villager here. So, unfortunately, I did not kill any villagers and turn them into zombies. We'll go one more round, and then I think that'll give you guys a good overview. Just I'd like to infect one of these people. So we'll get our villager action deck back and draw. This guy moves down. He makes a noise. I move this zombie towards him, which I guess would be this way. Am I being too forgiving, Tim, by not moving him down onto this villager? Would this be toward or would this be toward? I feel like both ways are toward, and it's on me to decide. I'm going that way. So that guy went down and did a noise, which made my zombie move 1 space. This lady with her big ass axe skips over here, which also made a noise, which moves back over there. Then this villager is going to make a range attack. And misses. Yeah. And then the Bloodhound actually... Okay, so the Bloodhound makes it so that you move the active villager towards the zombie. And in this case, he's going to move onto a grab space, which flips him over to his weapon side. So now he has a hatchet. And that immediately begins a combat. So I'm going to roll 1 through 5. It hits with a 3, which means I lose an arm. Bummer. Then we'll flip this over. It goes over here. One of these cards goes back. That's some barking dogs. So this villager is going to move towards the zombie, which makes a noise, and this guy moves over. And then the last one, of course, this villager moves up, which the noise would attract the zombie, but it's already on the same space, so we'll roll another attack, and she is unarmed. 2, 3, 4 misses. Okay, I'm going to infect somebody this turn. I got it. I feel it in my bones. So I got 2 legs, and you got both arms and 1 or more legs. You may replace infect with another move. That's cool. Torso intact, you may mix up the order of move and infect. Because normally it's all your movement and then infect. But you can mix it up. Okay, I'm not going to discard a part because I like my 2 legs. So I'm going to... I think I get a free infect. Floyd, if you watch this, let me know if I'm wrong. But I think because I'm already on a space with a villager, I get a free infect action. And I miss. And then I'll move and try to infect again. And I get it. So this guy's dead. Rest in pieces, sucker. And then I can generate a zombie into any space that is surrounding the space where that guy just died. And in this case, I'm going to place it on an alchemy so that I can regain my arm. That's Rotten Rampage, and the win condition of the game obviously is to just turn every villager in this town into an undead ghoul, and then, you know, maybe in the pretend world, you and your zombie horde march on to great success of turning everybody into undead monsters. So great. That's Rotten Rampage.